How long until the Thunder Immortal realm opens? Wang Lin asked indifferently, his eyes slightly closed. Xun'er responded respectfully, in another 10 years, the Thunder Immortal realm will open. At that time, with the Thunder Cauldron, one can enter. Wang Lin pondered for a moment. He was very interested in the Thunder Immortal realm. Back then, in the Rain Immortal realm, he was unable to absorb immortal jade, but now he had the strength to absorb a large amount of it. A visit to the Thunder Immortal realm would surely perfect his cultivation. The Immortal realm is damaged. What are the cultivation limitations for those who enter? Wang Lin's eyes glowed as he looked at Xun'er. Xun'er was momentarily stunned, hesitating for a moment. Clearly, he had some suspicions in his heart because of Wang Lin's question. Wang Lin's gaze remained calm, and he said slowly, I am not from this Luotian star domain. Xun'er immediately cleared his mind. Almost as soon as Wang Lin spoke, he thought of this answer. In his heart, this background seemed to fit Wang Lin's identity. Senior, the Thunder Immortal realm in our Luotian star domain is not too severely damaged. The cultivation limitation is for those at the later stage of the perfect nascent soul. However, with the secret method of the Thunder Immortal Palace, some cultivators at the second step can enter, as long as they cannot exert power beyond the early glimpse of Nirvana stage. Wang Lin nodded and asked a few more details. The Thunder Immortal realm was largely similar to the Rain Immortal realm. After all, many years ago, the four great immortal realms of wind, rain, thunder, and lightning all stepped into the ancient immortal domain through the same passage. After understanding this, Wang Lin glanced at Xun'er, who seemed to want to speak but hesitated. He said flatly, all right, you may stay and cultivate, but do not disturb me. Xun'er hurriedly nodded in agreement. His purpose in coming here was to cultivate, but now he was severely injured, and his cultivation had decreased greatly. If he left, it would be hard to find a better place in the short 10 years. Moreover, with his injuries, even just healing would waste a lot of time. It was very likely that when the Thunder Immortal realm opened 10 years later, he would just be recovering. Hearing that Wang Lin had allowed him to stay, Xun'er immediately felt grateful. In reality, with his intelligence, he would never be so straightforward. However, his Tao heart had wavered, and his Tao soul had surrendered. Subconsciously, Wang Lin's gaze had completely stunned him. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze and ignored Xun'er as he turned and walked deeper into the thunderpool. At first, Xun'er didn't pay attention, but soon he couldn't help but sigh. As expected, he was a true expert. The lightning in this thunderpool was far from ordinary. With his cultivation level, he could only take about 50 steps before being unable to advance any further. However, now his gaze followed Wang Lin, and he watched as Wang Lin, step by step, walked about 100 steps, then sat down cross-legged. Xun'er took a deep breath, his respect for Wang Lin growing even more. At this moment, injured as he was, he carefully took 10 steps forward but could not bear any more. He hurriedly sat down and began practicing the thunder essence art, absorbing the thunder and lightning into his body to cultivate. His thunder beast also cautiously took a few steps forward. Its massive head occasionally turned to look at Wang Lin, who was 100 steps away, filled with deep fear. The beast's instinct made it fear Wang Lin's gaze even more than Xun'er did, and it felt as though its soul was about to fly out of its body. It had never experienced anything like this from the moment it was born. Even now, it was still terrified of Wang Lin. Just as it was about to lie down, a low growl came from the distance. Wang Lin's silver-horned thunder beast swaggered over. As it passed by Xun'er's thunder beast, it shot a fierce glare at it. Xun'er's thunder beast immediately took a few steps back, not daring to approach. Its pride had been shattered by Wang Lin's gaze. Otherwise, with its horns almost growing, it would never have surrendered like this. The silver-horned thunder beast shook its large head, walking proudly. It happily stepped into the thunder pool, about 10 steps, and lay down to absorb the thunder and lightning. In the distance, the immortal guard puppet sat cross-legged on a piece of debris. Its eyes flashed with a sharp gleam, occasionally focusing on Xun'er. 100 steps was Wang Lin's limit at this moment. This was because he had seen the third step. His soul was transcending, and as he gazed at the thunder and lightning, he seemed to faintly sense some strange changes, much like when he had used the slaughter immortal art. Stepping through the changes in the thunder pool, Wang Lin walked beyond the 100 steps but could not hold on any longer. He sat down cross-legged and began absorbing the thunder into his body, using the thunder essence art to refine the chaotic primordial energy inside. As time passed, a tremendous amount of thunder rumbled and gathered from all directions like silver snakes, entering his body. Under the operation of the Thunder Essence art, a trace of primordial energy was drawn out and merged into his primordial spirit, nourishing it. An incredibly comfortable sensation gradually spread throughout Wang Lin's body. When Wang Lin had previously reached the threshold stage, due to Zhou Yi's crystal of the threshold, his primordial energy was much more abundant than that of ordinary cultivators at the same stage. This suggested that his path to the threshold would be relatively smooth. However, the use of the /Luo decision, especially during his battle with Thunder Daoist, drained his primordial energy significantly, bringing him close to the verge of falling from his cultivation level. Primordial energy is difficult to replenish for cultivators at the first step of cultivation, and had it not been for his Thunder primordial spirit, Wang Lin would surely have regretted it for the rest of his life. The fusion of heaven and earth energy into his primordial spirit nourished it, slowly helping the primordial energy within him to recover as it closely integrated with his primordial spirit. This process was slow, and Wang Lin formed hand seals, causing waves of thunder radiance to ripple in front of him. Immediately, 10 times the amount of thunderbolts were drawn in, crazily surging into Wang Lin's body. Even he could not help but feel a tingling sensation, and he took a deep breath, starting to refine the energy. Wang Lin's actions triggered a series of thunder explosions, waking Xun'er. He inhaled deeply, slowly opening his eyes, and upon seeing Wang Lin in the distance, his pupil shrank. As expected of a senior, to remain unfazed even after attracting so much thunder into the body from 100 paces away. If I were in the senior's position, attracting this much thunder would have definitely overwhelmed my body. Even my primordial spirit would have been harmed. Xun'er's eyes gleamed with even more fervor. Looks like I need to work harder too. Xun'er closed his eyes, absorbing more thunderbolts, causing his body to tremble before quickly absorbing them. With 10 times the thunder radiance entering his body, Wang Lin used the Thunder Essence art. Under the pressure, the primordial energy within his primordial spirit began to recover at a gradually increasing speed. However, it was still far from fully restored. After all, the primordial energy absorbed through the thunder was only a fraction, and after eliminating the impurities, only a very small amount remained. As time passed, 2 years quickly went by. During these 2 years, Wang Lin hardly moved at all. The absorption of energy increased from 10-fold to 20-fold. At this point, Wang Lin seemed like a human-shaped iron block tossed into a thunderpool, attracting lightning from all directions. As for Xun'er, during these 2 years, he had worked even harder, and his injuries gradually healed. Over this period, Wang Lin observed Xun'er. This person also practiced Thunder Essence art, but with the same thunderbolt, Wang Lin could only absorb a trace, while Xun'er could absorb more than 10 times that amount. Through his observations, Wang Lin gradually realized the reason behind this. It had much to do with the amount of primordial energy within the body. The more energy one had, the more it could be converted. It was this characteristic that caused the huge differences between the stages of the second step of cultivation. Over the course of these 2 years, Wang Lin also deeply engraved everything he had sensed about the third step into his heart, often reflecting on it, which led to some small gains. One day, he stood up, and thunder radiance crackled around him as it surged toward the thunderpool. This change caught Xun'er's attention. He opened his eyes, looking at Wang Lin with fervor and even a hint of anticipation. Wang Lin ignored Xun'er and looked toward the far side of the thunderpool. This thunderpool was enormous. Despite being reduced by half due to heavenly reversal, it still left one in awe. Wang Lin's position was on the edge of the thunderpool, and the distance to the true center was vast. The thunderbolts nearer to the center were naturally much stronger, and the amount of heaven and earth energy they contained was far greater. In fact, the 100 thunderbolts on the edge contained less heaven and earth energy than a single one closer to the center. After a moment of silence, Wang Lin took a step forward. His mind was calm, even with a hint of caution. However, not far away, Xun'er was extremely excited, staring at Wang Lin with intense anticipation. Finally, I'll get to witness some of the senior's divine abilities. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I must observe carefully, perhaps I can comprehend something. The excitement he felt was as intense as when he broke through the first step of cultivation and entered the Yin deficiency realm, even more so than back then. The reason he was eager to cultivate here was not only because this place was suitable for healing, but also because he wanted to follow Wang Lin, to receive his guidance. Even just watching his divine abilities from afar would be enough for him. He had been waiting for 2 years, and now he had finally gotten his chance. Without any hesitation, Shin Gonghu dispelled all his lightning, fully focusing on Wang Lin's every move, prepared to imprint every detail into his heart. Even the armored thunder beast beside him raised its head, watching Wang Lin in the distance, showing both awe and anticipation in its eyes. The only one who didn't seem interested was Wang Lin's silver-horned thunder beast, which merely flipped its eyelids, ignoring everything, as if still in a deep sleep, lying there while breathing in and out lightning. With each step, as he stepped onto the thunderpool, a ripple of thunder radiance surged forth, summoning countless thunderbolts that immediately rumbled toward him. Wang Lin's mind was focused, his eyes radiating electric light. At this moment, his nascent soul within his body was like a heart. Though it didn't beat, it emanated thunder might, merging with his physical form. His physical body had originally been forged from thunder, and now, his entire being was unobstructed, with nothing hindering his flow. Instantly, the thunder might of his nascent soul spread out, creating a series of thunderous explosions around his body. As the thunderous explosions echoed with a deafening roar, Wang Lin took a step forward and moved once again. In the thunderpool, a violent storm of thunder immediately stirred, and the howling wind summoned more thunderbolts, which rained down like a true thunder prison, blocking all creatures from advancing. Within this thunderstorm was an overwhelming thunder might. Compared to it, the thunder might of Wang Lin's nascent soul seemed like a tiny firefly next to the full moon. This place is truly extraordinary. The strength of this thunder might is astonishing. Wang Lin's foot fell, immediately causing a tremendous bang that reverberated throughout, even louder than the raging thunder. Without hesitation, he continued forward, taking another 10 steps. Each of these steps produced a thunderous boom, more intense than any thunder, as if the heavens themselves were trembling. Especially since Wang Lin's speed was so fast, the 10 steps were taken in the blink of an eye, causing the sounds to overlap. The deafening noise immediately spread across the heavens and earth, shaking the thunderpool and stirring up massive waves of thunder. In that instant, it felt as though the entire world was covered in thunder radiance, an awe-inspiring sight. Wang Lin could no longer move forward. Though he was still at the edge of the thunderpool, his nascent soul felt an unbearable sensation, as if any further steps would harm his nascent soul. My nascent soul has devoured half of a primordial thunder dragon, and my physical body was forged from thunder. At this moment, I am almost indistinguishable from true thunder. Yet even so, I must stop here. The thunder here is just too powerful. Wang Lin's heart was filled with unwillingness as he stared at the thunderpool, falling into silence. Not far away, Shin Gonghu frowned, a hint of disappointment in his eyes, and his once fervent passion began to dim. He looked at Wang Lin and inwardly thought, something's wrong. With the cultivation level of a senior like him, how could he be stopped here? Could it be? His gaze flickered. Even the thunder beast beside him was staring intently, though its fear seemed to have dissipated slightly. The silver-horned thunder beast, on the other hand, remained unfazed, continuing to breathe as if it had already known the outcome. As Wang Lin stood there longer, Shin Gonghu's disappointment deepened. He sighed inwardly, having hoped to see the immense divine abilities of the person he was aligned with, but unfortunately, he saw nothing. The stark contrast made his fervent admiration for Wang Lin fade significantly, and his hesitant Tao heart began to stabilize once more. Though 100 steps is an insurmountable chasm for me, once I break through to the early glimpse of Nirvana stage, I will certainly be able to reach it. But for this senior to have such limited power, Shin Gonghu's expression darkened, his eyes narrowing as he observed carefully. Wang Lin gazed at the thunderpool before him. In that moment, it was as if he had forgotten everything. Everything around him disappeared from his sight, and all that remained was the thunderpool. It was like the time when he had glimpsed the heavenly reversal space through the crack of the gate of heaven and earth. At this moment, he seemed to have forgotten his own body, and all he saw were the countless rumbling thunderbolts in the thunderpool. He didn't know how much time passed, forgetting everything, forgetting time itself. Finally, Wang Lin moved. He took a single step forward, seemingly casual, but the moment his foot fell, it was as if by coincidence, a bolt of thunder emerged from the thunderpool right beneath his foot. At this moment, Wang Lin seemed to be stepping upon the very thunder radiance itself. Shin Gonghu, whose fervor had dimmed, looked at him with astonishment in his eyes, as if something had become clear, but still somewhat vague. The armored thunder beast by his side also froze for a moment, then its gaze sharpened, locking onto Wang Lin. Wang Lin remained expressionless, his demeanor unchanged, his eyes filled with an ethereal look as he took another step forward. Once again, the moment his foot fell, a bolt of thunder appeared, as though it were there to greet him, supporting his step. Then Wang Lin continued, one step after another. From start to finish, his movements were incredibly casual, as if he were strolling through his own backyard, each footfall summoning a thunderbolt beneath him. Shin Gonghu's eyes widened in shock, gasping in disbelief. The fervor that had dissipated earlier was now rekindled, his disappointment lifted, and his gaze became fixed on Wang Lin, filled with growing astonishment. In his view, perhaps once could be seen as a coincidence, and even twice or three times could barely be explained away as either accidental or intentional. But now, as Wang Lin took a step forward, thunder radiance erupted from the thunderpool, supporting his movement. This was no longer something that could be explained away as a coincidence or intention. In his eyes, this was nearly an impossible action. It was completely beyond anything he could have imagined. At this moment, in his eyes, Wang Lin had become the master of the thunder in this world. The strange actions of the thunderpool clearly seemed to be greeting him. Greeting. Yes, it's greeting him. Shin Gonghu's eyes widened in disbelief, the shock sweeping over him like a tidal wave. His body trembled lightly, a wild excitement exploded within him like a storm. He had waited 2 years to witness such a divine ability. Next to him, the armored thunder beast suddenly lifted its head, its eyes vacant, the air of reverence surging once more. As a thunder beast, its understanding of thunder far surpassed its master's. To it, the thunderpool was not greeting Wang Lin, but rather, every step Wang Lin took was treading upon the very veins of the thunderpool itself. Not far away, the silver-horned thunder beast, which had been lying on the ground, unwilling to even lift its eyelids, now suddenly shuddered, leaping to its feet. Its enormous eyes, filled with a never-before-seen shock, stared fixedly at Wang Lin. In Wang Lin's eyes, what he saw was no longer the thunderpool or lightning, but rather, faint glimmers of light. These lights flickered on and off, sometimes shining, sometimes vanishing. Each step he took seemed to step on these glimmers. There was a sense of realization in his heart, as if this was the right course of action. With each step, he forgot everything else. Shin Gonghu's body shook violently, his eyes never blinking. He was afraid of missing any change, each breath seeming like a fleeting moment. He could hardly believe what was happening before him. He watched Wang Lin's steps grow faster, until they became nothing more than an afterimage. But each time his foot touched the ground, thunder still appeared. By the end, Wang Lin's entire body was crackling with thunder light, and a violent thunderstorm raged around him. The roar of the wind made it seem as though his body was a lone boat adrift in a furious wave, calmly and steadily drifting through the thunder sea. Too terrifying. This is the true divine ability of thunder. This is real thunder. Shin Gonghu's eyes blazed with fervor, his heart pounding wildly as if it might explode from his chest. His fervor had grown even stronger than it had been 2 years ago. His admiration for Wang Lin had escalated from the awe of those days to a blind reverence he had never experienced before. The thunder beast beside him trembled violently, showing even greater respect. Its perception was even deeper than Shin Gonghu's. To it, Wang Lin was like the progenitor of thunder itself. The awe from the very depths of its soul made it completely submit. At this moment, even if Wang Lin ordered it to attack Shin Gonghu, it would obey without hesitation. What was even more shocking was the silver-horned thunder beast. It now stared blankly at Wang Lin's figure, its heart filled with disbelief and a tremor born from an inherited awe. At this moment, Wang Lin paused, and the strange scene before him immediately faded away. The sensation came without a trace and left without one as well. The moment Wang Lin stopped, he awakened. He looked confused for a moment, and after a while, he gradually regained his senses. What he had just experienced had deepened his understanding of thunder. He knew that all of this must be related to the third step. This peculiar insight, though lacking any offensive power, was far more important to him than any immortal art or treasure. It was like an ant, having glimpsed the human world, seeing grand cities and the unbelievable scenes behind them, then returned to its cave. When noticing changes around it, there would be a sense of overlap in its mind. That was exactly how Wang Lin felt now. When he came to his senses, he found that he had already approached the inner ring of the thunderpool. Though still far from the center, he could no longer describe the distance as just a few steps from the edge. The thunder around him was far denser than at the edges, with each bolt containing enormous primordial energy. Wang Lin sat down cross-legged and absorbed one of the bolts. As the thunder entered his body, Wang Lin shuddered as if struck by a powerful force. His entire body became numb. Even his primordial spirit seemed to move more slowly, as if submerged in water. Shin Gonghu withdrew his gaze. His respect for Wang Lin had already reached its peak. The scene just now had given him some insight. Now, in the midst of his racing heartbeat, he was about to sit down to meditate. But at that moment, his brows furrowed, and a sharp, cold light appeared in his eyes as he looked toward the debris layer in the distance. A moment later, a flash of violet light howled toward them. Within the violet glow was a wooden sword, and standing on the sword was a man. "This place is quite lively," a mocking voice gradually echoed. The violet shadow overlapped outside the thunderpool, and on the sword stood a man. He appeared to be in his 30s, with fair skin and no beard, slightly handsome, though his phoenix eyes gave off a somewhat feminine vibe. He wore a purple and gold robe that fluttered as if blown by an invisible wind. His gaze swept past Xun'er and landed on Wang Lin, who was sitting cross-legged in the inner ring of the thunderpool. At the moment his eyes fell on Wang Lin, his pupils shrank imperceptibly, and his body was instantly covered in a cold sweat. As soon as the man appeared, Xun'er's expression immediately darkened. The thunder beast beside him stood up, growling lowly, its eyes flashing with a dangerous light. As for the silver-horned thunder beast, it shifted its gaze from Wang Lin to glance disdainfully at the feminine man. Then it lay back down, playing with the thunderbolts around it, which obediently danced on its body like tiny hands scratching an itch. Not far away, on a pile of rubble, the immortal guard puppet sat cross-legged, not even sparing a glance in their direction. Its duty was to protect its master. If the newcomer posed a threat, it would act immediately, even at the cost of its life. But unless there was a threat, it would remain still, no matter how many thousands were slaughtered before it. "Xun'er," Xun'er said in a deep voice. The feminine man's eyes cautiously shifted away from Wang Lin, fearing that he might provoke the other. In his eyes, although Wang Lin's cultivation was only at the late stages of the Ascension realm, it was strange that he could enter the inner ring of the thunderpool. If not for some unimaginable powerful artifact, this could only mean that Wang Lin was hiding his true strength. He also noticed the silver-horned thunder beast and the puppet on the rubble, his suspicions growing stronger. There must be some kind of artifact at play. It can't just be hiding his cultivation. But why are there two thunder beasts here? Could it be that this man is also a Thunder Immortal Palace emissary? He mused internally. After all, being in the inner ring of the thunderpool was a terrifying feat. With his cultivation at the perfect Yang fulfillment stage, he could never have entered it. "Ah, so it's Xun'er from the Xun'er clan. I didn't recognize you earlier. Your cultivation seems to have decreased quite a bit." The feminine man tightened his focus and looked at Xun'er. Xun'er snorted inwardly but maintained his calm exterior, though his expression darkened slightly. He spoke flatly, "This is not a place for you to linger. Leave now." Although he was injured and his cultivation hadn't fully recovered, with Wang Lin here, he dared to speak like this, even if the palace master of the Thunder Immortal Palace were to show up right now. Xun'er frowned, instinctively glancing at Wang Lin deep in the thunderpool. He then said slowly, "What an arrogant tone. Is this place part of your Xun'er clan? Are you saying no outsiders are allowed to come here to cultivate just because you're here with your juniors?" Xun'er sneered at the words but didn't explain. Instead, his voice turned cold. "If you don't leave within 3 breaths, you won't be leaving at all." He had always been somewhat annoyed by Xun'er, a highly talented individual from the Xun clan. If their powers were not so closely matched, he would have made his move long ago. If Xun'er persisted in disturbing the elder's cultivation, Xun'er would act. Even though his cultivation hadn't fully recovered, he knew that with the elder's help, even if he couldn't deal with Xun'er alone, a glance from the elder could make him crumble. Furthermore, this man was not a Thunder Immortal Palace emissary. While killing him might cause some trouble, with the elder around, everything would be inconsequential. Xun'er's gaze sharpened, and he instinctively stepped back. He was cautious by nature, and as he retreated, his eyes once again fell on Wang Lin in the thunderpool, his suspicions growing. This Xun'er, how can he be so confident in speaking like this? His injuries are obvious to anyone with eyes. Is he just bluffing? If not, then he must have something backing him up. Could it be this young man? Xun'er's thoughts raced. 3 breaths are up. Xun'er sneered and stood up. Thunder radiated from his body with loud cracking sounds. With a single step, he moved forward, and the thunder beast followed closely behind. However, as they stepped out, the thunder beast instinctively looked back at Wang Lin in the inner ring, its respect and awe evident in its eyes. The thunder beast's gaze met Xun'er's, sending a shockwave through his mind. He realized immediately that this was not good. Xun'er's scheming was deep, but the thunder beast, based on what Xun'er knew, was entirely different. The information that beast's gaze conveyed could not be ignored. If Zhang Konglai thought too deeply about it, it would lead him to an answer that would deeply shake his mind. With his cautious nature, he immediately retreated without hesitation, testing the waters by calling out, "Shin Gonghu, I, Zhang Konglai, am open and aboveboard. Our battle here is bound to affect the cultivation of the younger members of your Shingon clan. If you desire to fight, let us step outside and clash on the fragment continent." He emphasized the word younger with particular seriousness. A cold glint flashed in Shin Gonghu's eyes as he took a step out of the thunderpool, sneering, "Why complicate things? We can fight right here." The more Shin Gonghu behaved this way, the more uneasy Zhang Konglai felt. He had a vague sense that something was amiss, preferring to retreat rather than act recklessly. It was evident that Shin Gonghu intended to provoke him into making a move. Recalling the Thunder Beast's previous gaze, a ridiculous thought surfaced in Zhang Konglia's mind. His eyes flickered, and he formed a hand seal. Instantly, a burst of violet thunder radiance materialized in his hands, and the purple wooden sword beneath his feet exuded a rich sword chi. With a howl, it merged with the purple lightning in his hands, forming an immense and imposing aura. This power contained the essence of heaven and earth energy, showcasing the primordial power divine ability at work. Zhang Konglai took the situation very seriously. With the battle on the verge of erupting, Shin Gonghu stepped forward, raising his right hand to the sky, as if to provoke divine lightning. The thunder beast beside him roared, gathering countless bolts of lightning around it, drawn together by the thunder radiance, creating a frightening spectacle. At that moment, Wang Lin slowly opened his eyes and calmly stated, "Shin Gonghu, I will not assist you in this battle. Consider it a test of your loyalty to me. If you fail, I will reclaim your Dao soul." Wang Lin maintained his usual demeanor, but internally he was distressed. Neither Shin Gonghu nor Zhang Konglai was someone he could stand against. If Shin Gonghu were to fail, his own situation would become precarious. Initially, he sought a quiet place to cultivate undisturbed, but trouble seemed to find him. As he contemplated this, he spoke. Shin Gonghu was jolted by his words, and his fighting spirit surged to its peak. He stared intently at Zhang Konglai while respectfully replying to Wang Lin, "Rest assured, my lord, Shin Gonghu will not fail." Taking a deep breath, he slapped his storage pouch and retrieved a vial of pills. Zhang Konglia's expression changed dramatically. In the instant Wang Lin spoke, he keenly noticed the deep-seated reverence hidden in Shin Gonghu's eyes, a demeanor he could scarcely believe. The Thunder Beast also trembled at that moment, as if filled with fright. Particularly shocking was the implication of affiliation in Shin Gonghu's words, which sent a tremor through Zhang Konglia's heart. If this left him questioning, Shin Gonghu's next response left him utterly astonished, causing every hair on his body to stand on end. Lord, this title, in the Luotian star domain, was not casually thrown around. Especially among those at the second step of cultivation, it was a monumental term rarely spoken. Only those who genuinely submitted to a powerful being would address them as a lord. Zhang Konglai had no doubt about Shin Gonghu's sincerity. It was simply too significant for him to fake such reverence. Shin Gonghu was extremely proud. A person like him would rather die than humiliate himself. Moreover, even in combat, it would be unlikely for them to meet death. Most likely, they would only suffer severe injuries. Even Zhang Konglai himself would never casually call someone Lord, only doing so to avoid a battle where even survival could not be assured. Linking this with his earlier suspicion, the absurd answer he'd conjured re-emerged in his mind. His eyes revealed astonishment, as if he could barely believe what he was thinking. Could it be? Could it be that this person entered the inner ring of the thunderpool not relying on treasures, but by concealing their cultivation? If not, how could such a proud Shin Gonghu pledge allegiance and call him Lord? Zhang Konglai gasped, retreating once more. His thoughts raced as he urgently pleaded, Shin Gonghu, do not act recklessly. A cold glimmer flashed in Shin Gonghu's eyes. He crushed the pill bottle in his hand, which contained only a single red glowing pill that he swallowed whole. In that instant, his entire aura turned wild and tyrannical. Zhang Konglai, let's fight, he roared, pointing his right hand to the sky, and his innate power surged forth uncontrollably, instantly summoning a bolt of lightning resembling a divine dragon, rumbling down from the endless void. This caused a commotion in the thunderpool, with countless flashes of lightning spinning around, converging towards Shin Gonghu. Wang Lin watched Shin Gonghu's divine ability with keen interest. This ability was exceptionally powerful, using his own primordial power to summon the thunder of heaven and earth, rivaling the primordial force cauldron transformation in might. While it lacked the grandeur of the cauldron, its overwhelming power was even greater. Zhang Konglia's expression shifted, and he took a step back. At the same time, his feet subtly moved, and the wooden sword immediately flew up, flashing with a flicker as his right finger pointed at it. The sword was covered in violet luminescence and emitted a loud, thunderous roar. Shen Gonghu's eyes revealed battle intent. In this fight, he planned to display all his strength because, after all, the senior was watching. With a low growl, he gritted his teeth, and his right hand suddenly fell. Immediately, the thunder radiance descending from the void erupted with a deafening roar, transforming into an unimaginable heavenly might that crashed down. Zhang Konglia's face darkened. His hands swiftly changed their incantations, and he spurted out a mouthful of primordial energy, which immediately landed on the wooden sword. The sword howled and released a dense sword chi, soaring into the sky toward the thunder tribulation. When the two forces collided, a shocking, earth-shattering boom reverberated through the surroundings. As the thunder radiance shattered, the wooden sword was sent flying back. The remnants of primordial energy in the area became intensely concentrated at that moment, and the surrounding rocks cracked and crumbled in a violent barrage of sound. Zhang Konglai staggered back, continuously retreating as his face turned pale. He glared at Shen Gonghu, his frustration igniting into battle fervor. Shen Gonghu also retreated, stepping into the thunderpool to steady himself. A trace of blood dripped from the corner of his mouth. He stared at Zhang Konglai and laughed. "I've never liked you, you delicate guy. To think, you actually have some skill after all." Wang Lin's eyes flickered. The previous battle had given him a direct view of the fight at the Yang fulfillment stage. It made him realize something. Neither of these two's primordial power divine abilities was something he could handle at his level. However, he noticed a flaw. Shen Gonghu's primordial power divine ability didn't seem complete. The thunder tribulation he summoned should have been far more powerful. Having glimpsed the third step, Wang Lin had already faintly perceived the rules of thunder when he entered the inner ring of the thunderpool. With this mindset, it was natural for him to spot the flaw in Shen Gonghu's thunder-based divine ability. This kind of phenomenon could also appear in the martial arts world of mortals. It's like someone with no martial skills at all who, after reading many martial arts manuals and deeply feeling the essence, can often pinpoint flaws in an opponent's techniques from a spectator's perspective. Although one can observe and offer advice, they still haven't reached that level to apply the techniques themselves. At this moment, Wang Lin was in such a state. His eyes flashed, and he calmly said, "Shen Gonghu, your primordial power divine ability has the might of thunder, but it lacks the soul of thunder. Though your Tao heart merges with it, it's still insufficient. Your conviction lacks the power of thunder." Shen Gonghu trembled at these words. It wasn't the first time he had heard them. The Thunder Immortal Palace Master and elders from his family had once said the same thing. But hearing it from Wang Lin now made him more anxious, and he hurriedly said respectfully, "Please, elder, instruct me." Not just Shen Gonghu, but even Zhang Konglai, who was watching from a distance, was stunned. His suspicions seemed to be gaining ground. The problem Shen Gonghu faced also seemed to exist in him. The elders of the Zhan family had only told him to understand it on his own. This was something that couldn't be easily explained. Even they were exploring this matter, unsure whether their realizations were right or wrong. How could they teach their juniors? If it was correct, then fine, but what if it was wrong? After all, no one knew if the path they were on was the right one or not, because they had no idea where the third step lay. But Wang Lin was different. Having glimpsed the third step, it was as if he could see the way forward. Others hesitated to speak because they weren't sure whether they were right or wrong. Even if they did speak, their hearts were filled with uncertainty. But Wang Lin knew, and his words were certain. The current scene was somewhat strange. Just a moment ago, Shen Gonghu and Zhang Konglai were full of battle intent. But in the next instant, they simultaneously stopped their fight, turning to look at Wang Lin instead. Their gazes were different. Shen Gonghu's was filled with blind admiration, while Zhang Konglia's was tinged with suspicion. Wang Lin did not continue. Such matters could not be fully explained. In a state of vague understanding, one either understood or they didn't. If they didn't, it required a certain opportunity, otherwise, they would never understand. After a moment of contemplation, Wang Lin raised his right hand, casually forming a gesture in front of him. A bolt of thunderlight flew up and landed in his palm. To Shen Gonghu and the others, the power of this bolt seemed weak. However, the next moment, they both inhaled sharply. Wang Lin's gaze fell on the bolt of thunder in his hand, and a strange light flashed in his eyes. With a flick of his right hand, the thunderlight instantly dissipated, leaving behind a faint, almost imperceptible glow. The glow couldn't last long. In just an instant, it collapsed and vanished. Wang Lin closed his eyes, concealing the fatigue in his gaze. If it weren't for the current danger, he wouldn't have acted so mysteriously. Do you understand now? Wang Lin slowly asked, his eyes still closed. Origin. Return to origin. A sharp gleam burst from Shin Gonghu's eyes, his whole body trembling with excitement. Without hesitation, he deeply bowed to Wang Lin, the reverence in his eyes growing even more intense, almost reaching a level of worship. In that moment, Shin Gonghu felt as though a veil had been lifted in his mind, as if a layer of paper had been pierced. It was as though he had attained enlightenment. He suddenly turned around, eyes shining with sharp clarity, and slowly said, "You and I, let us battle again." At that moment, Zhang Konglia's scalp tingled. His suspicions about Wang Lin had reached their peak, and he no longer doubted the absurd thought in his mind. He stepped back a few paces, deeply bowed to Wang Lin, and respectfully said, "I am Zhang Konglai. I was unaware that Senior was here in meditation. I apologize for my earlier offense and hope you can forgive me. I will leave now." He glanced at Shin Gonghu with envy. Now, he understood why someone as arrogant as Shin Gonghu would choose to follow another. "Congratulations, Brother Shin Gong," Zhang Konglai said with a slightly sour tone, cupping his hands in a bow. Shin Gonghu remained silent, coldly staring at Zhang Konglai. Zhang Konglai didn't mind, smiling as he said, "Brother Shin, I have received the summons from the Thunder Immortal Palace. From now on, we will both serve as emissaries of the Thunder Immortal Palace. Farewell." He bowed again to Wang Lin before quickly leaving. Shin Gonghu made no move to stop him, but his eyes glinted with coldness. "What is this summons?" Wang Lin asked flatly. Shin Gonghu quickly turned around and respectfully explained, "The summons is a decree from the Thunder Immortal Palace. All those selected as candidates for the position of emissary of the Thunder Immortal Palace will receive one. Every 3 months before the opening of the Thunder Immortal Palace, the palace will reorganize its list of emissaries. If there are any vacancies, candidates will compete to fill them. With Zhang Konglia's cultivation, unless something unexpected happens, he is likely to win this time." Wang Lin nodded slightly, not speaking further. Instead, he closed his eyes, continuing to absorb the thunder radiance and transform it into primordial energy. Shin Gonghu's eyes lit up with excitement. After a moment of realization, he immediately sat cross-legged in the thunderpool and resumed his cultivation. Time passed slowly, and in the blink of an eye, 8 years had gone by. Adding the 2 years before that, 10 years had passed in a flash. Wang Lin's primordial energy gradually stabilized under the absorption of the thunder essence art, and his primordial spirit reached saturation, unable to absorb even the smallest amount more. Wang Lin understood this was because his cultivation was insufficient. Only after reaching the second step could he continue to absorb more primordial energy. Right now, his most pressing task was to break through his cultivation. He stood up, looking at the surrounding thunder. After 10 years of exposure, he had gained a deeper understanding of the thunder, as if he could see through its essence, though it still felt somewhat blurry. With emotion, Wang Lin moved forward, stepping out of the inner ring of the thunder pool and heading toward the edge. Shin Gonghu had been sent away by Wang Lin 3 years ago. While Shin Gonghu held great reverence for him, Wang Lin had always felt uncomfortable around him. Before leaving, Shin Gonghu had left a voice transmission jade slip. A silver horn thunder beast howled as it approached. Wang Lin mounted it, turning into a streak of lightning, leaving the thunder pool. The immortal guard puppet in the form of a shadow fused into Wang Lin's shadow behind him. The speed of the thunder beast, after absorbing thunder for 10 years, had increased significantly. It broke through the debris layer and disappeared into the depths of the starry sky. Wang Lin had already noticed the change in the heavenly reversal pearl. The souls of Li Muan, Wang Ping, and the others still remained inside, unaffected, and even appearing more brilliant. The Thunder Immortal Realm in 20 years is something I must visit. But right now, I need to find a secluded place to increase my cultivation. Moreover, the anomaly in the heavenly reversal pearl seems to indicate that the power of the 5 elements is no longer needed. But what exactly is required? Wang Lin thought deeply as he sat on the Thunder Beast's back. The heavenly reversal pearl had split into 2 halves, yin and yang, with no fusion between them, leaving Wang Lin puzzled. Sun and moon, yin and yang. Wang Lin muttered. The Thunder Beast, like a flash of lightning, sped through the starry sky, and it was unclear how long had passed when Wang Lin suddenly took out a jade slip from his storage pouch. This was something Shin Gonghu had left for him, a star map of the entire Luotian South Domain, with detailed descriptions of many places. With this map, Wang Lin wouldn't lose his way. Before him stretched the wild lands of the Luotian South Domain. The planets here were mostly abandoned and lacked any special features. Few cultivators with great abilities came here. However, these planets were home to mortals and some low-tier cultivation families. In 20 years, I must be prepared for the Thunder Immortal realm. Also, some of my divine abilities and techniques need to be altered. Many of them are no longer suited to what I see as the third step. Continuing to use them would lead me down the wrong path. Especially the countless grudge souls required in Dao Transformation Yellow Spring. I must speed up the process of collecting them. Also, within this Luotian star domain, I should have a cultivation star of my own. Wang Lin pondered for a moment, his gaze flickering. Ahead, he spotted an abandoned planet, teeming with vitality. It was clear that many mortals resided here. The reason for its selection was obvious. It resembled Vermilion Birdstar in many ways. He felt a pang of homesickness. With a leap, Wang Lin soared into the air. The Thunder Beast let out a mournful whine, helplessly transforming into the Divine Chariot and flying into Wang Lin's storage pouch. Just as he was about to head straight for the planet, Wang Lin's expression shifted. From within his storage pouch, a strong fluctuation emanated from the immortal sword, carrying with it a powerful aura and a sword intent from ancient times. Damn sword intent, your grandpa Su finally subdued you. From now on, I'm the true sword spirit. I'm incredible now. I'm really amazing.